Hey everyone, in this video I want to talk about the 10 longest RPGs I have beaten since I started this channel in 2021. So I'll just consider the ones where I finish the main stories and extras, and most likely I'll update this list in 2 years once I have seen some other RPGs. So let's begin with Bravely Default with 85 hours, available for the 3DS. This is a game where you will follow the story of Agnes and Thies in Lutzendark, a place where apparently everything was okay until the elemental crystals, worshipped by the Crystal Orthodoxy, were consumed by darkness. After this, a great chasm opened in Norende, consuming everything in an instant, with the exception of a young man, Thies Arrier, one of the main characters that we will see in this game and Bravely Default End Layer. This story was quite interesting because it brought back memories of old school RPGs with a turn-based system, where after defeating every main boss you unlock a job, giving you the chance to further specialize each character as you progress. Until here I will say it is all good, but is this story that good? Until you start going into that loop of purifying crystals in the last stretch of the game is where things can become tedious as heck, because while in a story it makes sense, gameplay wise it turns the game into something repetitive and boring. Until you finish this particular part, I will say that the following battles and story retake the nice course they have. In number 9 we have Skelter Finale with 90 hours, available in Switch, Steam and PS4. Here we follow the after events of Skelter Nightmares and 2, where the main characters of this story escape from jail, a city that was buried underground many years ago because something like a comet impacted that region, twisting everything into a cartoonish and nightmarish way. But here the plot revolves around the wishes and many loops these characters have to live to save themselves from this nightmare. Story-wise I found the game quite entertaining with many original ideas, or at least ideas that I hadn't listened to. However, it can be a bit gimmicky as there are several fanservice moments, where I had fun with some others a bit unorthodox, but nothing to not let me enjoy this tale. As for the gameplay, I would only recommend this game for those who are into first-person dungeon crawlers, maybe hardcore and niche ones. Its gameplay is not unforgiving as all the RPGs, but you may find some difficulty spikes, a stupidly complex map design which can turn tedious and whatnot, where you can get new job systems by farming crystals, as well as farm different equipment by growing flowers, and manage 3 different groups to keep moving forward. In number 8 we have Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey with 100 hours. This particular version is available for the 3DS, however if you want to suffer like a true masochist, you can play the DS version. Here we follow a group of soldiers that were assembled after something like a dark hole appeared in Antarctica, where many will perish and the power of the script will save a few. Every time I talk about SMTs with amazing stories, this one has to be seen, because its narrative is beautiful. However, once again, we are talking about a first-person dungeon crawler that it's like old school ones, so unless you are a hardcore player, I wouldn't recommend you this game, because it is one of the hardest SMTs to finish, with all its post-content. If you felt that 5-3 Devil Survivors were hard, you haven't seen anything. Gameplay-wise, the best option is to have the same alignment for MC and demons, because here we have a system named Demon Co-op, where these demons will fall for extra damage whenever a crit or a weakness land, but in the post-content it is a good idea to have a bit of everything. Aside from that, we borrow similar ideas as the demon fusion and stuff like that seen in other entries. In number 7 we have Trails of Cold Steel 4 with 120 hours, available in Switch, PS4, PS5. Here we follow the after events of Cold Steel 3, where Class 7 was pretty much wiped out. Gilead Osborne took control of Erebonia and everything is going downhill because war is around the corner. Quite complex story that you can see in a summarized way, but sometimes these cinematics can take a lot of time, so unless you are into some heavy reading, this story is going to be a bit too much with walls and walls of text. The gameplay has creative ideas where every character and enemy are located inside of a combat area, having different area of effect moves. Explaining the whole idea is quite complex, but every character has a specific role, and you can customize everyone with orbs that give specific and special attributes. Where this game can go quite far is in the amount of sub-quests the game throws at you, and the many hidden enemies you can fight. However, I will say it is quite entertaining. For the next entry we have Rune of Refframe, Coven of Dusk, with also 120 hours, available in Beta, PS4, Steam and Switch. This game narrates the story of two witches, Luca and Ronia, who are looking for special keys in a town named Refframe. And inside the dungeons we follow the steps of Trakti, a particular entity that is able to order a brigade of puppets inside of the Well of Refframe, with a story that gets twisted and twisted as we proceed. If you want a fast-paced story, this one is not going to be for you, because it takes quite a time to get dense and entertaining. And there are also some gimmicky moments that may not sit well for many. As for the gameplay, we have to create a lot of puppets with different classes, beginning with something simple as 5, but further going into 40s. The hardest thing here is deciding in particular groups, because there are several classes and it is needed to specialize each brigade by increasing the soul clarity of each puppet. In easy terms, you begin with a facet that gives you the best skills for future roles, and then you mix skills for each role, until you get the best skills for a particular thing, which can be magic, criticals, defense, etc, etc. It is quite convoluted and it takes its time, but compared with the previous DRPGs, this one is much friendlier, until the last main boss and its post-content. In number 5 we have Rune Factory 4, with 130 hours, available for the 3DS, Switch, PS4, Steam and Xbox One. This game takes a lot of time if you're not happy with the third arc of the game, where the story follows a character that develops amnesia after a little incident, and later find out that the main identity of this character is an Earthmate, so we have to save everyone. As any Rune Factory, I will say that the funny parts come if you are into slice of life stories and stuff like that. Gameplay-wise, it is a combination of farming and combat, where if you want to quickly progress in the story, you need to do these two things more or less at the same pace. Here I will say that the flow of the combat and other activities is well balanced and enjoyable, if you don't mind some random ideas here and there. However, if you want something kinda hardcore, the Switch version offers a hell difficulty, where the cheese is needed around every corner. But I will say it is well worth it, as there are many ways to proceed in this story, along other characters or monsters. In the fourth entry we have Etron Odyssey 5, Beyond the Myth, with 135 hours. Story-wise, Etron Odyssey games are not that great, they offer similar stories here and there. In this entry, they just changed the idea of other species. However, the entertaining part comes down once you dive into its post-content and the events that could come if your party doesn't take action. Gameplay-wise, we need to form a party of 5 characters with different roles. While it sounds simple, it is not as simple because this game has some classic ideas of first-person dungeon crawlers, where it is needed to do several side quests, farm, and explore a lot if you really want to finish its post-content, because it can turn into really tedious circumstances with so many freaking binds. And if you don't want to use guides, prepare a notebook, because the last stratum can turn into a nightmare if you want to blindly finish it. But if that is not your end goal, the main campaign is well balanced and entertaining, where you can mess a lot. Then we can find Record of Agarest War, with 140 hours, available in PS3, 360, Steam, Android and Switch. The story revolves around Leonhard, a soldier who has his doubts prior to be drafted into a war, where he finds a high elf who is targeted without real reason, where he loses his life, but in an unexpected turn of events he makes a contract to gain power where future generations need to accomplish a particular role, following several main characters and antagonists. If there is something I love about this story, are the grounded ideas that some characters develop in the 5th generation after 100 years of living in conflict. As for the gameplay, it is a strategic RPG with some old school ideas, where you need to link characters to execute powerful combos by combining different skills. While its beginning can be slow and simple, once you are into the 3rd generation, it is required to find a solid ground to apply strategies into the gameplay. Otherwise, from this point onwards, the game can turn into a nightmare. In second place we have Horizon Zero Dawn, with 160 hours, available in PS4, PS5 and Steam. In this story we follow Eloy, a girl who was born in a particular place where machines start to run rampant, and it is up to her to set things in the right way, where she will find the truth of her existence and the state of the world. Gameplay wise, it is an open world with a lot of things to do, depending from the quests you decide to tackle, where you need to defeat a lot of machines to gather materials that later can be exchanged for better equipment that gives you the chance to use different ammunitions to beat these machines in a faster way. In general, I will say that the gameplay is well balanced, even in the highest difficulty, but its action can be a bit slow unless you know exactly what you're doing. Aside from that, be ready to explore a lot every inch of the map, as there are a lot of amazing things to find. And in number 1 we have Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, with at the very least 200 hours. In the game I have 1k hours, but those 200 hours is just considering that you want to beat at least every single monster once, afflicted versions as well, and maybe get a couple of solid builds along the way, with average noob skills like mine. Story-wise, there is not too much to say. Monster Hunter games do not have interesting stories, as they follow similar ideas of research and control/protection. Gameplay-wise, the whole deal revolves around beating monsters, gather materials, create equipment, charm, and decorations, to customize your gameplay however you feel much more comfortable. And this is where this game excels, because every weapon has a particular way to be used, where in easy terms you can finish the game without using 80% of the moves. However, mastering a weapon takes a lot of time, and the learning curve can be quite harsh. With all of this, I will say it becomes really addictive. If you are not into farming and repetitive gameplay, just stay away from this game. And that's all, folks. I hope you found this list a bit informative. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.